Hey, how's it going? Vladimir Donis here. So hey, today I'm coming to you with day 4 of my 30-day video challenge. If you happen to be catching this live, do me a favor and hit pound live. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And if you happen to be catching this via the replay, do me a favor and hit pound replay and let me know where you are tuning in from. So yesterday, via day number 3, I talked about making decisions. I talked about some of the decisions that I made and some of the repercussions of making some of those decisions. And I talk about the repercussions of just decisions altogether. And I've just talked about the entire decision-making process. So if you didn't get a chance to catch video number 3, you're going to be able to see it somewhere on my timeline. Depending on where you're catching this, you'll definitely be able to go back and catch video number 3 inside of my 30-day video challenge. All right, so today, essentially what I want to talk to you about today is I want to go ahead and talk to you about what it is that I did while I was anxiously waiting for my dating site to be built. It took my dating site from the time that I decided to launch a dating site. I hired a programmer, and from the time that I decided that I was going to be working with this individual, it took about 1.5 years for the dating site to be launched. And during that time, one of the things I started to do is I started to just look at other dating sites that existed, and I was just trying to understand the bells and the whistles, right? Because I took certain components from some of those other sites to be able to include it via my site. So I went pretty much just shopping, joining other dating sites and getting a pretty good understanding of the functionality and getting a pretty good understanding of the bells and whistles, and then communicating that information back to my programmer so that my programmer can go ahead and optimize and create these bells and whistles for me. What I didn't do and what I should have done is I should have worked on building an audience, because here's the issue that I ran into. When I launched my dating site, I didn't necessarily have an audience to launch the site to. And because I didn't have an audience to launch the site to, I was starting from ground zero, whereby from the very first time I paid this individual and said, hey, this is the business that I'm going to go into. What I should have done is I should have done the audience building process. At the time, I was under the impression that in order to build an audience, I need to have a product. Well, that's furthest from the truth, right? You can build an audience with just content. So I could have started by just writing content, writing blog, and just creating a community that way. I could have created a group. There's just so many different ways I could have created, some level of anticipation. I could have started talking about it, right, per se, via social media and other different platforms. I could have done interviews. There were so many different things that I could have done from an audience building standpoint that would have created a certain level of anticipation that I didn't do. So if you are in a similar place as me and you desire to build something and the thing is not going to be ready anytime soon, or that it's going to take, several months or 1.5 years, whatever the case may be, in order for you to build the thing, you want to go ahead and start to build certain level of anticipation as soon as possible. For me, one of the biggest mistakes I made is that I wasn't even on social media at the time. I wasn't even on Facebook. I didn't have a Facebook account, because prior to me going into business, I didn't see a reason to be on social media. So I had 0 social media accounts, and I don't think I joined social media until about a week or 2 weeks prior to launching my product. So that was not a good thing to do. So if I had to go back and do it, I would build anticipation. I would talk about, hey, I got this exciting dating site that's coming up. Here are some of the features. I would just really just build it up and just build that anticipation so that way when it's time to launch, I would go ahead and launch it. So that's what I would have done differently. All right, so this concludes day number 4 inside of my 30-day video marketing challenge. By the way, if you have a current marketing and or a sales process that's not fully optimized, that you're leaving some money on the table, I invite you to have a conversation with me and allow us to identify gaps that you may have inside of your marketing process. I'm going to leave a link somewhere around this video. You can click on that link, and the link is going to simply allow you to schedule a time, and then we can go ahead and have a conversation around optimizing your marketing process, so that way you're not leaving money on the table, and so that way you are bridging gaps that may exist. That's all I have for now. I'll talk to you soon.